this is Eddie Smith in Houston, and I have with me today Carol Owens. And Carol Owens is married to Jimmy Owens. They are the Owenses that wrote If My People, which is a very popular worship song, and so many other musical items, songs, and musicals. And so music is their background, but Carol has written a new book entitled Sussex Cove. We're glad to have you today, Carol.
Well, hi. How are you? I'm glad to be here.
You know, I met Jimmy in 1967, I believe it was, and in Hollywood, where he was working at the time doing arranging, and we've not kept in touch that entire time, but we did discover each other later, and I've really enjoyed making that reconnection with you guys.
Well, us too. We know ministry, and we've just enjoyed it so much. Love your wife.
Well, let me ask you this. Why did you write a suspense novel? I thought the novels that I see that are Christian novels are usually those romance-type novels. What ever possessed you to write a suspense novel?
Well, I wrote the kind of novel that I enjoy, really. I like suspense, mysteries, if they have something new to offer, maybe a new kind of hero. You know, and I look for great characters. I wish we had time to introduce all our characters from Sussex Cove because I really think they're fun. I like some humor, and I like real suspense. All that with a basic Christian worldview. There's some good ones out there by Christian writers, but not with everything I like best. Now, secular writers give me plenty of reading material if I want to wade through all the gross language and all that stuff. So, at the suggestion of a couple of friends, I decided to write the kind of book I like. I wanted to write something really suspenseful, something fun to read, and something with spiritual meat on its bones without feeling at all preachy. And the result is Sussex Cove.
Now
we're getting some amazingly good response, too.
Now, what is Sussex Cove? Is that a place?
It's a place. It's a place in my imagination. But it's a place in Massachusetts, and that's where the journey starts in this book.
Your primary character in the book is a pastor.
Well, he is, but the book starts out 30 years ago, and the whole point of the book is to find out what really happened that summer 30 years ago at Sussex Cove. Yeah, when not quite 11-year-old Sam Kennedy, my hero, is accused of molesting little Joanna Stanfield. And it turns out she is the pampered ward of his father's powerful employer. So this just is a catastrophe. His father's career is damaged, the family's uprooted, and his father never forgives him or ever lets him forget it either. So this whole thing affects the rest of Sam's life and drives the whole book. And then 30 years later, Sam has become a famous California pastor. So that's where the rest of the book happens.
Okay, and as I understand, his life is falling apart.
Well, it is. He's got a famous feel-good doctrine, but it isn't working out very well for him. His wife is died about 3 years prior to this. His faith is really in crisis. He's seeking a new hold on God and a new revelation of God's world and so forth. And then his father is killed, and everything points to murder and back to Sussex Cove. So off he goes to find out what's really going on. And almost before he knows what's happening to him, he's running for his life. And that's the rest of the book.
So the book is really about a very successful pastor whose life begins to fall apart. He realizes that what he believes and teaches is not supporting the kind of life he should be living and would think one would live. And he begins to discover why that's the case and goes back and has to deal with these childhood things and discovers things that we might never guess one in that exalted position as a pastor of a megachurch would have in his past.
Yeah, and I think the main thing is really not so much about his past as about his father's past. He finds documents in his father's faith that would intimate that his father was blackmailing his employer, and so all of that takes place back in Sussex Cove. So he goes back to find out if the employer has hired somebody to kill his father, and he's investigating this whole thing. And then this journey of investigation pulls him into a world of violence, human political greed, and occult spiritual conflict that he never dreamed existed. And, but it does exist.
Yes.
And I wanted to write about that.
Well, I know a lot of our listeners are fascinated by mysteries. Now, we're going to give them something kind of unbelievable here. We're going to give them 5 entire chapters for free, and we'll tell them how to get that in a minute. Tell me, though, before we do that, what is the goal and the purpose of the book in your mind for the reader? What does a reader stand to get from reading this book, other than, of course, the entertainment element of being fascinated by a suspense novel and all the surprises around each corner?
Well, I think before you can get any kind of a message over, you have to have the good, engrossing, entertaining read.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to provide that. And I think for many people, it'll be a new or a better understanding of the reality of the 2 spiritual kingdoms that influence everything in our world. Even though we may not recognize it, it's there. And so Sam Kennedy finds this kind of walking in his front door, and he's not ready for it. So it's his whole story of dealing with this kind of thing.
Well, I know that we know Stormy Mardian. She's quite a writer, and she says she loves this book. She said it swept her up and carried her away, and she couldn't put it down. And Pat Boone, we all know who Pat Boone is with his white shoes. He says, wow, this book is a stunner, a dramatic suspense-building page-turner. I felt like I was watching a movie. And Dean Jones, the actor, says he and his wife read Sussex Cove together, and at the end of the first chapter we realized we've been trapped into an all-night read. It's grippingly believable. So those are some great reviews, or actually endorsements, and the reviews are great as well. So I want to encourage each of the people listening today to go to SussexCove.com. Let me spell that for us, if I can. SUSSEX, Sussex Cove, COVE.com. And there, just for the extraordinary price of, I think, entering their first name and their email address, they will get 5 free chapters, which will get them well into the story, and they will immediately be, as happened to these folks, caught up. And I tell people the book grabs you by the eyeballs and drags you into the story. So you've done a wonderful job, Carol. I know Jimmy helped you too. Tell me what Jimmy did for you.
Oh, he did. Well, Jimmy was my first editor, and then he added so much of the suspense to it, actually. The action scenes, and there are a lot of those. We've got a lot of cliffhangers, and many of those were his concept. The thing that happens is that he would, write that out, send it to me, then I'd have to rewrite it so that the voice is the same all the way through the book. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the way we worked, but he contributed a lot to the book.
Well, you guys have invested a great deal in the Christian world, in music, and this is a wonderful new thrust into the Christian world in terms of your lives and your testimonies over all these years. And I think, aren't you working on even a sequel to this book?
I am. I'm trying to. Anyway, I've got a lot started on it, a lot going for it, and it's going to be fun. And it takes place in Washington, D.C., so you can imagine all the material that's available to Sam Kennedy there.
That's right. Well, God bless you, Carol, and thank you for being with us today. Again, go to SussexCove.com SUSSEXCOVE, SussexCode.com. Enter your first name and email address there and get those 5 free chapters, and you'll be blessed by them. And also, if you're like me, you just want to get the book so you can hold it, you can get that there as well. And you can also order the Kindle book if you're a Kindle person. So we got you covered all the way around, and this new book will bless the socks off of you, as a lady told me this morning. And we thank you for being with us. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.